We're back. This is RT International. An unmanned SpaceX rocket carrying supplies to the International Space Station has exploded just minutes after liftoff. NASA says the rocket broke up. Debris fell into the Atlantic Ocean after the launch from Cape Canaveral in Florida. More than 2 tons of cargo were destroyed, including scientific equipment. The crew up in orbit has enough food and supplies to last them until October, it's believed, so the latest accident does not put them in any immediate danger. RT's Anya Parampo watched the failed launch.
The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched with hopes of delivering the Dragon spacecraft to the ISS. About 3 minutes after launching, the rocket completely disintegrated. SpaceX is a commercial, a private business. This is a company that has multi-billion-dollar contracts with the United States government and is hoping to one day, within the next 2 years, launch manned missions to the International Space Station. It is quite the setback when it comes to the future of American space travel. The government ended its public space shuttle program in 2011 after 30 years.
Well, NASA admits there was a glitch, but believes there's a good lesson to be learned from this latest failure.
This is a blow to us. We lost a lot of important research equipment on this flight. An unfortunate event, but I think it's important for all of us to realize that through these failures and through these events, we can learn more and we can come back stronger and we can get prepared to really keep pushing the envelope as we move into space.
And the reason he's speaking in plural terms is because it's the second botched attempt to deliver supplies to the International Space Station in the last couple of months alone. In April, Russia's Progress spacecraft started spinning out of control and was unable to dock in orbit. This is the video feed that ground control received at the time. Another launch of a cargo rocket is scheduled for next Friday, which will again be a Progress craft. Well, it's also been a tough few months for commercial space companies. Since January, America's SpaceX has made 2 failed attempts to return booster rockets to Earth after making deliveries to the space station. Back in October, a test flight launched by Californian-based firm Virgin Galactic went tragically wrong. A rocket plane designed for delivering tourists to space fell apart in the air, killing the pilot and raising serious doubts over the firm's plans for commercial space tourism. Well, we spoke to Rick Tumlinson, who's the co-founder of the Space Frontier Foundation. He thinks it's better to make mistakes in the early stages of private space exploration.
The early years, a lot of things got blown up, and that's a very unfortunate thing, but that's how you learn. What's really going to count is, as they say, it's not how they have fallen down, but how fast and how well they get back up again. Actually, in a way, it's better it happens now in the early stages than later when they're carrying commercial crew.
Get your bids in now if you want your very own missile base. A former U.S. facility that hosted surface-to-air missiles in the 1960s to protect American nuclear warheads from a Soviet missile attack from Cuba is up for auction online. Yours if you've got $500,000 to spare. The details on our website. Also there to have and to upload. The first ever robot wedding has taken place in Japan, complete with a cake and a kiss. Watch the happy android couple tie the knot in front of real human guests. That too on RT.com. Iran's foreign minister is back in Tehran for consultations after holding tough negotiations with his Western counterparts in Vienna on the Iranian nuclear program. After the talks, the EU's foreign policy chief gave some ambiguous comments on the outcome of their meeting.
I'm here. I'm here.
What the result? What the result?
We had good results, and I would say that the political will is there. I've seen it from all sides. We'll stick to the deadline of the 30th, ready to interpret it in a flexible way, as we did it already in Lausanne. It was needed to have a couple of days more. This is not the end of the world.
The talks on the final bargaining conditions of Tehran's nuclear program ended with no result, signaling that Tuesday's deadline for a final deal will be breached. The uncertainty contrasts with the mood among the Iranians 3 months ago when they celebrated what then seemed a breakthrough deal after exhausting talks in Switzerland. Those were the scenes in April. Iran was promised that it was on the road to seeing all kinds of sanctions lifted. Political commentator Soraya Sepapur-Ulrich thinks the West is pushing Iran for concessions without giving anything in return.
I think the West would like immediate results from the Iranian side, but what they're willing to offer in return is very unreasonable. What they're saying, in fact, or dictating is, first, we're going to rewrite the NPT, and the NPT in Iran is to be implemented as we dictate. You give up all your rights under the NPT and dismantle everything that you've accomplished thus far, reverse and, go back and take away from all your accomplishments. And then if we get the IAEA to give its approval that you've done as we are telling you to do, then we'll lift the sanctions.
A small plane has crashed into a house in the U.S. state of Massachusetts, setting the building on fire. All 3 on board the aircraft have been declared dead. Several fire crews and emergency personnel were deployed to the scene to tackle the blaze. Early reports say the owners of the house were able to escape the fire. The cause of the crash is not yet known. There's been unrest between rival rallies in the capital of Honduras. Hundreds turned out to support the government which seized power exactly 6 years ago in a coup. They clashed with a massive opposition protest over an embezzlement and corruption scandal at the country's social security agency, which emerged last week. Riot police and the military moved to split the groups. And this rally at the Vatican is in support of the Pope's call for people to rein in their consumption to save the planet. It was attended by campaigners from various faiths who appeal for unity among religions in the pontiff's cause. It stems from a papal letter to Catholic bishops to urge people in developed countries to consume less. Pope Francis also blames leaders in those nations for misusing the Earth's resources. An African-American woman has been arrested for taking down the controversial Confederate flag, which is again flying outside South Carolina's state capitol building. Bree Newsom says she did it because state officials had failed in their moral duty to remove the divisive emblem, which many have long considered to be racist. Bree had managed to get halfway up the 10-meter flagpole when police told her to come down. She ignored them and continued her ascent to get hold of the flag. Bree was even greeted with cheers from onlookers after returning to the ground. Well, the crowd may have been on her side, but she was cuffed and arrested anyway, and could face either a fine or up to 3 years in prison for defacing a monument. As for the flag, it was shortly hoisted back up, as it's actually protected by state law. Last week, President Obama said removing the flag from the South Carolina Capitol would be the right thing to do.
For many, black and white, that flag was a reminder of systemic oppression and racial subjugation.
Well, Barack Obama reignited the debate on the Confederate flag in the state in the wake of the race-hate church massacre in Charleston. The confessed killer was pictured with the flag. Gaine Chichikan went to see why an image so prominently associated with years of slavery in the American South is still flying high.
We are in Richmond, once the capital of the Confederacy of States that fought to keep the right to own other human beings, to own slaves. The flag under which they fought, you would think, would be part of history by now, sitting in the Museum of the Confederacy 150 years after they lost. But no. We drove for just 1 hour from Washington, D.C., and we see this huge Confederate flag flying high above the interstate highway, not because it's close to any historical museum, but just because someone wanted to make a statement. You can still find the flags on the porches of private homes.
This is the capital of the Confederacy. I don't know if you knew that, but this is the capital of the Confederacy, and I'm proud of that flag.
What did the Confederacy fight for?
See, I'm not a historian. I'm not a historian.
Here we drove by another house with a flag. So you don't think that the Confederacy was fighting for the right to own slaves?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't believe that it was all about that. Matter of fact, midway through the Civil War is when it became an issue of slavery. And the thing is with...
What about historians saying that that is the case, that it was about slavery?
Well, that's because I believe history books feed you, like TV or anything else, they feed you what they want you to believe.
Many in the U.S. find it outrageous that the flag is still flown despite the Confederacy's well-documented support of slavery, and despite the fact that the white supremacists of the Ku Klux Klan use the flag.
To me, it is a symbol of hatred and racial inequality. It is a symbol of slavery. It is a symbol of white supremacy.
So some people say it's about heritage, it's about history. But what kind of heritage and what kind of history? They see something noble where others see some of the darkest pages in American history. In Virginia, I'm Gainich Chekyan, RT.
Well, up ahead in a few moments, accounting for terrorism. Sophie Shevardnadze asks how much money Islamic State has and just where it's coming from.